Hi, this is Mike Volpe reporting for Chicago Clouds, and I'd like to thank our host, Pat McDonough. And today I am with Scott Tucker. He's a candidate for the Illinois State House. Scott, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a military veteran and a business owner in Roscoe Village. I have a company that does online marketing for small businesses. And I've grown frustrated with the way things have been going in Springfield. And I think in the last couple of years, we've all become aware of all the work over the last decade or more that hasn't been getting done. And so that level of frustration is what led me to get myself on the ballot for state rep this fall.
All right, and you've never run for office before. You're a small business owner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. I've never run for office. I'm the non-incumbent challenger for the 11th State House.
You're an outsider, and it's the 11th district. Tell us a little bit about the district.
Sure. The 11th district has about 109,000 Chicagoans. It runs from DePaul University up along Lincoln Avenue to Lincoln Square. It's the best way to describe it.
And who's the representative for the district now?
Current state representative for the last 13 years, John Fritchie. He's moving over to the county board, and my feelings about that are that he's leaving a mess behind him. And the replacement that the person Mike Madigan would like to see be the next state rep, my opponent, she has worked for Mike Madigan off and on the last 10 years, worked for Lisa Madigan off and on the last 10 years. She's a pharmaceutical lobbyist and attorney. She raised over $90,000 in the primary from lobbyists. So personal donations from lobbyists, donations from corporations that are in the insurance business and the pharmaceutical business. And I think that that's not representative of what the people of the district deserve.
Okay. And the big news out of Springfield over the last couple of weeks is they left without a budget. Tell us, how does that happen?
Well, I don't think it's news, really. It's business as usual in Springfield. The way that happens, I think, is that we have Mike Madigan in a failure to lead. He seems to be able to get anything else he wants done, but he can't get a budget done. And I don't think they really want to get a budget done before the election. They'll probably go, they're supposed to go back in the next month or so and get a budget. What I would expect them to do is to pass a 6-month budget that gets them past November 2nd, and then they're going to try to lay an income tax increase on us.
So they have enough money to keep the state going. But why can't they pass a budget? What's the problem politically?
What the majority party can't bring themselves to do is to reform spending. The answer from Governor Quinn is that we need to raise personal income taxes 33%. That drives skilled labor to states like Florida that have no income tax, or Nevada, or Texas. And the other thing that Pat Quinn wants to do is he wants to raise corporate income taxes another 21%, and that drives corporations to states like Indiana, where they might have a lower threshold for taxes overall.
And he's doing that because we have, what, $13 billion budget deficit?
Well, we have a $13 billion budget deficit on the one ledger. On the other ledger, for the state employee pension fund, we have an $80 billion unfunded pension liability. That's $7,000 that every Illinois citizen owes to the pension fund. And that includes little old ladies and newborn babies. Okay, $7,000 a head. Family of four owes $28,000 to the state employee pension fund. What we could really do, one of the biggest things we could do is we could reform the state employee pensions going forward by getting us out of the pension business. Keep our obligations for past credits to the pension fund, but going forward, including for present employees of the state, we need to get off the pension system and move to a 403B, which is like a 401k. And to Social Security. The state employees aren't playing the game by the same rules that the taxpayers are, and I think that's got to change.
All right, you're getting into a lot of wonky things, but it's important. Basically, what the pensions do is they make the state pay a lot of state employees a lot of money, right after they retire. Mm-hmm. What you want to do is get them like a private business, where there's a contribution to a 401k, and then the 401k becomes their retirement. But that will solve the second problem, which is the unfunded liabilities. Well, we have a more immediate problem, which is that we have $13 billion more in what we owe than what's coming in. So Pat Quinn says that we need to raise taxes.
We need to get rid of Pat Quinn.
What would you? Give us a couple ideas what you would do.
Well, I've got a great idea. State Medicaid spending is 1/3 of state spending, but we're sending the poor, the people we say we care about, which Blagojevich now defines the poor. He ramped up the Medicaid eligibility. 1 in 5 Illinoisans is on Medicaid, and I don't believe that 20% of Illinois is so poor that they can't pay for a doctor visit.
Okay.
So then we've got, on top of that, we've got 1/3 of state spending now is on Medicaid. And then we send the poor, who we say we care about, we send them to Stroger Hospital to wait 4 hours to be seen for a routine medical office visit. We should be putting these folks in a managed care program where they have a family doctor and they get treated like human beings, number one. There should be fewer people in the program as well, because not all these folks can't pay for a doctor visit.
How does it
On
wind
top
up?
of that, we're paying the hospitals 3 times what a doctor's office visit costs. Now we're paying the bills 9 months late, and that's not fair to the physicians.
What's the threshold in terms of income for Medicaid in the state of Illinois?
It's 1/3 of state spending. I don't have the number on the top of my, off the top of my head.
And so explain the difference between managed care and Medicaid.
Managed care would be, we would take the poor and we would assign them to a family physician. When they need something, they call in and say, I'm coming in a half an hour. And they come and they're seen for whatever illness, and they're in and out quickly. They're treated like human beings. We say we care for them. Let's really care about them, and let's stop sending them to the hospitals. We're overburdened with these folks. They're having to have them wait 4 hours in the waiting room. Rather than paying the doctor $70, we might pay the hospital $300, and then we pay the bill 9 months late because we don't have any money, because we're paying 3 and 4 times what the care costs of the physician's office.
And how does it work on Medicaid? If somebody's on Medicaid, they just go straight to
Just go wherever you want, we'll pay the bill. And so we got folks going to the emergency room.
Okay. And Pat Quinn says a lot of that money that he wants in raised taxes is going to go to education.
Well, this is Pat Quinn's shell game, right? So he says, I'm only going to increase your personal income tax by 1%. No, he's going to increase it 33%. It's from 3% to 4% that he wants to increase it. And he says all that new money will be earmarked for education, right? What he's doing is he's obfuscating. He doesn't want to talk about the real issue, that the reason we're in a whole world of hurt here is we've got Medicaid spending that's out of control. It's at least 3 times what it ought to be, and probably 5 times what it ought to be. We can provide better care more cheaply, and why wouldn't we do that? And then on top of that, now we've got an $80 billion unfunded pension liability to state employees. State employees are doing work that's worth about $40 grand a year, but their cost on average is about $125,000 a year. Because they've got Cadillac health plans that can cost $10,000, $20,000 a year, because they've got millionaire pensions for early retirements, because their salaries are above market rates. Now, I don't know about you, but would you pay a clerk $125,000 a year?
I wouldn't, but the state does, and that's
no. You and I do it.
Right. Well, we're the state. That's correct.
At the barrel of a gun.
All right. So, what are some of your ideas to reform our education system?
Well, I've been chasing John Fritchie around town at his town hall meetings, because he is my state representative currently. And I've criticized him for sending his own daughter to Latin, which is $14,000 a year. Now, John Fritchie's a zoning attorney, okay, and that might in itself be a conflict of interest. Okay, so he sends his own daughter to Latin school for $14,000 a year, and in the past he has opposed school vouchers, and he's voted with the Chicago Teachers Union and the Illinois Federation of Teachers, and really the union that represents the teachers. Now, I'm not anti-teacher, but I'm anti-teachers union when it comes to telling me and you where our kids can go to school with our own property tax money. Now recently, a couple of weeks ago, to be fair to John, he did finally vote for school vouchers for Reverend Meek's bill. Now that's nice, but that was only for the kids that are in the failing schools, and it's for 10% of the elementary schools. It didn't include the high schools and whatnot. I would say that we should have school vouchers for all children, all through Illinois. It's time for competition to be brought back in the education marketplace.
All right, let's talk a little bit about Cullerton. You see this a lot with the leadership. Cullerton is not just in the state's legislature. What else does he do?
Well, both Mike Madigan and John Cullerton are property tax attorneys. So one of my reforms is to ban state legislators from having a side business in the property tax arena where they can call up Joe Barrios and get their clients' tax bills lowered.